All right, this article is covering people that are either considering or have already signed up for a migration project. A migration just describes SimCloud or Website Pipeline Classic customers. Those are people that had sites deployed prior to the beginning of 2018, typically, that are migrating to the latest version of the SimCloud platform. And typically, you do that. There's lots of new features and benefits that come from that. That are visible user benefits. There's also a lot of infrastructure benefits and investments that have gone on, as well as security and process stuff that we follow on the back end. And most importantly, you're getting aligned to the entire R&D engine that we have. We have a bunch of ongoing investments going, and that's going into the latest version of the platform. So we've been making a progressively harder push to get Classic customers over to the latest version of the platform for the reasons that I've already described. There's win-win benefits all the way around from what we've seen. As a result of that, we have gotten a very strong response, a positive response in people signing up for migrations. And we have made some material investments over the recent few months in scheduling and balancing the migration workload. We had a big surge of work that came in as a result of this, and also providing a lot more self-service help center content, which is what you're seeing here and what I'm going to be walking through. So I'm going to try to catch you up on what this content is and the best practices related to going through a migration project. As well as point you in the direction to the self-service content on getting more details on what you can expect for you and your team as you go through the project, work that you can be doing now. So I'll give you next steps, and then talk through what we're doing with scheduling through this wave concept that you're seeing on this article. So kind of the high-level summary here is there's two main areas, like I mentioned, that we have focused on in this article and in recent months in investing, and looking at customers that have already successfully gone through migration projects, and also projects that didn't go as well as we wanted to, and basically incorporating that into process and tooling, and teaching the best practices of what to go through. The scheduling and balancing, we still do have labor involved. We've done a lot of tooling and automation on our side for the Classic customers that have standard ERP connectors. We have basically waived the fees associated with the migration project and just included that in the monthly fee. But we do still have material labor there. So we have deployment resources, we have implementation support resources that go through the process. So we have to schedule and balance those out just to deal with resource constraints as anyone would that's dealing with personnel resources. We've also loaded up and put additional resources on the migration work, just so you know. So that's been going on in parallel. But we've scheduled the migration in waves. So this article goes through waves and our current target start dates for the waves, and I'll talk through the process here in a minute a little bit. Our customer success team will be sending emails out and notifying you which wave you fall into if you don't know yet. And you can also use the schedule that's listed in this document to identify what your start date is. And if there's changes, we'll be communicating those changes, whether we speed them up or slow them down, depending on how the work goes. We will make changes through this article and also notify you if you're impacted in any material way. The other thing is some key improvements we've made in self-service, the help center content here. You've probably already seen articles on some key reasons why people are migrating. There's an overall migration process article. I'm not going to go through all the details of that. There's what we call content management time periods, which indicates there's a period in the migration process because you have two platforms up. There's diagrams in this article that go through that, where you have some dual content management responsibilities. Our goal with the process was to shrink that down, which is why we've got stuff in a preparation stage, which I'll touch on in a second. But this diagrams very clearly what the steps of the process are and what we do to migrate your data from Classic to current, and how that impacts your content management, so your site operators will know. There's also a number of just key things to expect as we've gathered feedback from customers that have gone through the process. We've outlined a bunch of things to try to set clear expectations. The whole goal is to avoid surprises on all sides, so everyone has eyes wide open as they're going through. There's also a concept that we're introducing here called extra work. We have noticed there's a number of areas of extra work that people consider or try to take on during a migration project. Some of it makes sense. Some of it is ill-advised and does not make sense to do. So we put some extra effort into identifying and help you identify the extra work that can impact lead time and costs, and also add risk in delays to the project, where in many cases they can be avoided, and either the extra work can be eliminated or deferred to a future phase, which is the strong recommended best practice. And we also have a list of what we call stage 0 preparation work, that even if you have a target start date in the future, if you're in a wave that's out in the future, there's all the preparation work you can go ahead and get started on now to get a head start and get things queued up. So just on a high level, the scheduling waves that we've done to spread out the work, all of them are based on a start date. So you can see I'm just a super high level overview of the process. There's a whole separate article on this, but there's basically 5 stages you go through. We deliberately called this one stage 0 because it happens before the start date. And basically our deployment and implementation support teams are not engaged at that point. We have customer success that can engage. And if part of your extra work that you're tackling during preparation is you're migrating customizations from your classic platform to the current platform, you can work with our pro services practice to help get ready and be prepared for that. The goal is that this period number 2, you shrink the time period as much as you can in period number 2, which is the dual management of content, or what we call that overlap period. So the start date, there's a few things impacting your start date. One is our availability of resources to be ready for the start date, and that's what we're doing in scheduled waves. Number 2 is that you complete the stage 0 preparation work, and we strongly advise you to do that in stage 0. We do have people that intermingle that throughout stage 2, and it ends up causing a longer project, which is also typically more painful than it needs to be than if you do it in stage 0. In the preparation stage. So there's work you can do in the preparation stage, getting ready for the start date, and if you're in a future wave, waiting on us to be ready for you. This is the current schedule for the waves, and again, we'll indicate which wave you're in. If you're in wave 0, you're already live. You're probably not watching this. If you're in wave 1, you've already been deployed. So if you have access to the platform and are logged into the worker portal and doing stuff, you're in wave 1 already, but are not live yet. If you're in wave 2, the deployment is already in progress, and we will be turning the platform over to you shortly if you haven't gotten it already. And then wave 3 will be looking forward into August, September, then fourth quarter of this year is waves 3, 4, and 5 is our scheduled start dates for you to start. And that would be basically us getting engaged with you on the deployment pieces, the part that we're involved with. These projects are largely a self-service project as you go through it. We just have toolings and things we've done to try to stack the deck for you and make it quicker and easier. The start dates can change, so we'll notify you if there's material changes based on the wave you're in. And I've already kind of described some of what is in each one of these waves. If you're in a future wave, sorry for the scrolling here, where stage 1 of your process is not started yet. So stage 1 is referencing this getting connected stage. If you're in a future stage, you can already engage in stage 0 right now. So there's works you can already do. And this is kind of a quick summary of the work you can do in stage 0. If you go to the classic to current migration project, or just search for that in the help center, there's detailed diagrams and steps that you go through in stage 0. That will help you stack the deck for that. If you need an earlier start date, you can figure out what your request is versus the wave that you've got, and we will work to accommodate you if it's practical within the schedule. But again, you can work on stage 1 to kind of stack the deck and be ready to move. But you can contact the SimCloud Customer Success Manager if you can. So we appreciate your longstanding relationship with us as a customer. Being on a classic platform, we want to do everything we can to help you get through this migration project successful and basically get lined up to tap into all the new cool features and stuff that we've got in the latest version of the platform, but also most importantly to be lined up with the significant ongoing R&D efforts that we have all going into that platform. And we've got mechanisms to keep you on the latest version of that platform much more easily as you go through this. So if you have any questions, let us know. We appreciate the patience as we're working through this, and we'll hope you'll take the time to engage in all this content. We think it'll be very helpful for you and your team to map out your plan as you roll through your project.